Okay, now we're going to do a little exercise on the mainframe, creating a JSON file. Now, there is a package you can use with COBOL to create JSON files, but it is not easy to use, and it is very, very specific. So, you make this program, different files, you have to do the same thing, right? You have to do it and do a completely separate program. So what I'm going to show you is a way to do this, which is relatively simple. Alright, and it shows using Python and COS and USS. So first just let me give you the overall flow. So first of all, I have this file, create a file on the mainframe. Right? And just to show what this looks like, okay, so this is it's going to make it, I don't know how this got stuck in there, but it really only has 3 fields: name, age, and profession, right? And the first line is as you say, my column name, right? So I've got Craig, 64, programmer, Steve, 67, retired. And I want to make a JSON file for this. Alright? Now, rather than writing a big, long, complicated COBOL program to do, I'm going to break this down differently, and this is what I'm going to show you. Okay? So, first of all, what I'm going to do is I am going to send this to USS. Alright? This is how I copy a file from COS in order to USS. Alright? So SH for the shell, CP for copy, Unix command copy. This is how I specify my mainframe file name. And this is what it's going to look like on USS. Okay? After I put it there on there, I want to run the shell script test Python, which is going to convert it to JSON and then convert that output JSON file to EBCDIC, right? And this copy is going to copy that EBCDIC output back from USS back to my COS file. And then finally, there's another step that I have to do, and I will explain this to go later. Alright, it's the end. This is the last step. But now, This is IBM's test mainframe. I do not believe it has everything on it or everything hooked up the way like the binary mainframe that I work on has. So we're going to have to break this up into steps, right? So first step, and then I'll just show you this, right? Well, first of all, let's clear out my USS. So that's TSOOMVS, and let's go on here, you got a little case, so ls star text, and I just want to get rid of input text for now, so rm put text. I want to, let's say, output, it's not on there, right, let's star JSON, okay, so I got my get rid of now, and now I'm going to run this, but I know it's going to fail, but again, I had tested this code on my mainframe, not the test one, and it works, alright? That's the idea. There's really 4 steps. Copy it to USS, use a script to convert it to JSON, convert the JSON to EBCDIC, copy it back up from USS, and then do one COBOL program for formatting. So I'm just going to submit this, and it'll go with the JCL error CY, but see if we can. So send to USS, alright, worked. The convert to JSON worked, but this is deceiving. It did not do it. Alright, you gotta check this out. The convert to JSON is, convert to JSON is running the script, which is supposed to create the file. The full JSON failed because the file's not there. This, you have to be careful. This return code 0 does not necessarily mean that it worked. Right? So, our problem is going to be in the second step, where I say convert to JSON, I execute test python.sh, right? So, just to show you, again, on my mainframe, this will work. So, on here, I'm going to say, did my copy work? And it did. Now, script, let me just show you what's in the script. Okay, So we can say the script started. This is going to convert input.txt to output.json, right? This DD is going to convert output.json to exiting output.json, and you'll notice convert exiting, and that is what I am going to pull back. But just to make sure, let's, as if it is, I want to delete it just to show that it worked. Right? And okay, so now I am going to do just what that command from my JCL should have done. I am going to run test Python shell script. So it started, converted, everything worked. Just to show you. Let's now look for output.json and to show what it looks like. Alright, and now let's look for my exiting. And let's take a look at that, and it's going to look kind of recognizable, but not. See, because I'm converting it, it's the end of the line that got all messed up. Alright, but that's okay because this is an exiting. By the way, let's just show you what that Python program was, what it was like, because it's very small. So let's, not going to edit it, so I'll show you what it is. This is convert to Python, not PY it should have been. Okay, very simple. I import CSV, I import JSON. Basically, I set up my input and output files. With my open input file, I read it into this dictionary, and over row and CSV, I append the row. So when I'm done, data has everything in the file. Alright, notice I start out data empty. Line 9, I read it, and for every reads in the whole thing. For every row that I do, I append it to this data. Now, with my output, right, oh, it is right, JSON file, I do JSON.dump data, which is my list that has all the data in it, the JSON file and I say indent equals 4. So this is really, this is 19 lines. Much simpler than writing a COBOL program. And another great thing about it, right now I only have 3 fields. If I have 5 fields, I don't have to change this program. I have 10 fields, I don't have to change this program. If I were writing a COBOL JSON converter file, I would have to make separate programs for each one. All right. And again, the DD that converted it, like the DD if, which isn't really if for input file, and OF for output file, right? I'm converting to Epsilon. All right. So now I have a file in Epsilon that I want that I should be able to send back to the mainframe and have my JSON file. Okay. Now, so what we did was really this convert to JSON step, which again, on my mainframe would work, but on IBM's test mainframe, which I do not believe they have set up exactly the right way or it's completely built, does not. Now, there's 2 more steps. And for the first one, I'm just going to do the first one and stop because I need to show you something. So let's just make sure that file I copied to is not there. Okay, it wasn't there. So I am going to restart it, full JSON, and I am execute this last step 0. So let me just put a here, say restarting with full JSON. See why I didn't do the last step very soon. And this should end with 0, right? So now what I have to do is I have to look at this file. This is now, first of all, right, I want this to be in an FB80. But if I did this, if I did it in FB80, it would only take the first 80 bytes. See, what we're going to see is this basically comes back as one big, long record, right? And I have tried hours and hours and hours trying to handle the end of line between copy and all the different things, but I just have not got it to work all right, and I think it's because it's not set up right, but I will show you what I did see, which ultimately makes it easy to do. So Okay, now if I keep going to the right, this has all my stuff. Alright, so the next thing I have, so what I notice about this is, well, look at those dots. I'm going to put hex on. Those are hex character 25, right? And they all occur right where I want a line break. Alright, so what I'm going to do is this. I wrote a program called count VB file, and what it does is it basically reads this record and parses through the line and writes out a line every time it hits that character by character. Every time it hits that X25, it writes out the record. Alright, now as I look at that, I'm not sure my logic will handle that very last one because it doesn't have the 2.5 after it, but let me just see. It will handle everything else, and that would be an easy fix. So let's just delete this. And again, really what I have is I have a variable file, and I am going to read, there's only one record. I read the one record, go through character by character, and break that up into fixed block 80 lines. Alright? So now we're going to start in. Right. Sub and oh, I got JCL error step. Yeah. Two zeros. So this. See what this. Yeah. See what this JCL error was. Restart step not found, but oh, okay. I did. Because I separated the end of the cut. This is the end of job, so thought this is end of job. Okay, fine. So now, let's do this. This will work. Alright, this end equals 0. So now, let's look at So this, and we will find out that its formatted actually looks pretty good. Does it have the last closing square bracket? That's what I'm curious about. And no, it doesn't. Well, I can fix that easily enough. The end of the file, the, at the end of the record, I will get that. But this is the process. I have to change this program very, very slightly. That after it hits the end of file or the end of the record, this variable record, that there is no 25, x25, and I just have to write out whatever it was since the last one to the output. But I will list, I will now give you what I consider the advantages and disadvantages of doing this. Biggest disadvantage that I see is this. If you're doing this for a mainframe file that can potentially have billions of records, I don't know how that's going to work. Because number one, can't have, right, can't have a LREP of VB, with an LREP of billions of bytes. All right. So I think we're limited to a relatively small number of records. What's a small number of records? I'm not sure. I haven't tried it. All right. So that is really, and then I take that back. Like I say, this, like executing this script, this has to be set up, but this can be set up. This is not really, um, this is not that difficult to do. All right. And I guess some people would say that, okay, but you have it on COS, you got USS, you have it on Python, but Python, honestly, it's like, if there's any language that I would say I like possibly better than COBOL, it would have to be Python. Tell me about Java or C++ or C Sharp or no, Python is the only that I would consider improved. And I think any programmer be able to pick that up easily. And the program again has 19, right? And I will maybe show you a look at this COBOL program, but this has very few lines. I mean, it's basically a big form varying, starting at the first byte of the record until you hit the end of the record, done. And for each byte, if you have a hex 25, write out whatever since the last 25, write it out into an F8 record, right? And again, I'll fix the last one, but that'll be easy to do. All right. So there's a lot of different parts. I guess you could say that that's a disadvantage. Now, the advantages. Number one, writing the COBOL program, this comma-delimited and writing the Python program together are much simpler than writing a COBOL JSON computer program. All right, much simpler, much faster. Another thing, again, as I said, if I have Right now, this is working for 3 fields, right? Like name, age, and profession. If I had 5 fields, I would have to write a complete new COBOL JSON program. But in this, I don't have to have it, right? It works just the way it is. So if you're doing a small, a small amount of records, and again, not sure what small would be, but this is, to me, a much better way to do it. And again, what this will come out is that I went from my basically CSV file on the mainframe to my JSON file on the mainframe, and it is simpler, it's faster, and it works for all cases. Again, the only possible exception of if there are tons of records and 100 fields, will it work? It should, but you may come into performance issues. All right, so that is how you do it. Again, I will go here. It's first step, copy my CSV file to USS, run the script that converts that CSV file to a JSON file, and then convert the JSON file to an exited JSON file, retrieve and pull back that exited JSON file from USS and put it into here. Again, now it's VB2096. You probably could have a LRECO up to 20 some thousand. So it isn't like you have just a few records, but billions of records on nothing worth. Right? So we get it back from USS, and finally we convert it from this variable block file to our formatted JSON file. And I'll show you what this file is, just to show you this program, just to show you that it is really simple too. Okay. And basically, variable block file in, fixed block file out is 80, file in is 262, couple accumulators, my constant, my end of line marker, right? This is what I want to check for. Right, I have a switch. This really, I don't really care because I know it's only record. Working storage. So this WSFB output rec is where I am to write my output FB file from. I have the record length, that's a start column, end column, and string length. Right, table. This to go through it, record, character by character. What I did was I created a working storage X2092 value spaces, redefined it as a table, so I could go through this each, character by character, no linkage, right? The very standard COBOL, init main process file, back, init, open both files, we put file, move it to my work input rec, which is my defined as the table, right? I move one as the start column, and I go, my main process is, okay, process the input byte by byte until the index is greater than the record length. Okay, what is my process input? It's actually really easy. All I do is, if it is my end of line marker, my X25, I write a fixed block rec. And all of my fixed block rec, I compute the end column, which is my current index minus 1, right? Because my index is on X25. I compute the length, add spaces to my output rec, and I move my input rec, the start column and the string length, to the output rec, and I write the output rec. And I put the WS start CC equals the WS IDX plus 1. So if the 25 is in card column 3, I know that my starting index for the next one is going to be column 4. All right? All there is to it. Simply read. Since it's variable, it's a little different in that we want to handle this move like the DB file index to record length, because that's how I know how many bytes are in this record and how much I want to read. Right? By write, it's very easy. You just write from plug output read and address written, and all I have to do really is, and I'm going to do this, but I have to say after this, because I know what the file is, right? What I have to do is the first thing I have to do in my finalize is write FB rec, right? So this would be, let's say, so if, for example, if the closing square bracket were at 100, okay, so there is 99, 99, say, so 9, and 100, so let's say 100, so MCC is 100, start CC is 100, string length is going to be 1, spaces, move this to that. All I should have to do is at the end, right here, so add, I am going to perform the right FB rec, and I should be done, right? You always got to check, right? Got to make sure the output looks right. And in fact, why don't I just do this just for a test to see? So I'm going to edit this to select this, going to the process input, to greater than or, and, Because in this case, I know that there's let's just, and this is a little funny thing again about IBM's test mainframe. So I'm going to go here, and this is basically my compile. All right. So this really, it's not just the source, it's the JCL that compiles it. Although the JCL is really only like this one line. Okay. So the program has changed. Let's just for kicks see if it works. And I'll just make this converted JSON to 225, and I'm starting at step 1 for sure. So let me sub again. 0, and if I look at this file, does it have the whole thing? I think it will. Again, you got to check. Okay, maybe that. Just that. And come on. Oh, okay. Well, it worked and it didn't work because I don't want whatever these are. I don't want. They're low values, but yeah. See how there's like all some low values, and I don't want that. I want it to be spaces. So, in any case, I'll get that figured out. But get the idea. But this is how you can take CSV file out of Mainframe, create a JSON file that ends up on the Mainframe at least, using USS, using Python, JCL, using all sorts of stuff. So, I thought it was kind of interesting, a little bit of a challenge, not bad, but I hope that you enjoyed it, and I will see you on another video. Thank you.